Most people wait until the National Bureau of Economic Research, the organization that tracks U.S. business cycles, officially declares a recession before they prepare their finances. The problem is, they usually make that call 6 to 18 months after the economy has already turned. In the 2008 crisis, the recession actually started in December 2007, but the official announcement didn't come until December 2008. By the time the news hit the headlines, anyone who waited had already watched their retirement accounts plummet and their home equity evaporate. This chart shows the current recession probability estimates from major financial institutions. In a healthy, humming economy, this number sits around 15%. Right now, groups like JP Morgan and Moody's Analytics place the odds between 30 and 42%. We are running at nearly triple the historical baseline. This elevated risk comes from four specific pressures colliding all at once. First, the labor market is softening, creating a low, higher environment. Second, core inflation remains stubbornly stuck near 3%. Third, rising geopolitical tensions are driving up the risk of sudden oil price spikes. And fourth, the Federal Reserve has kept rates high, leaving them with limited options to stimulate the economy. When these four forces combine, you enter the stagflation quadrant. Stagflation is an economic condition where your daily living expenses rapidly increase due to inflation, while your income stagnates or drops because of a weakening job market. Navigating this exact four-point collision requires a highly structured financial defense plan. You have a brief 90-day window to execute it before public panic sets in and your options disappear. The first 30 days are a sprint to build your emergency fund. In a downturn, liquid cash acts as your psychological firewall. It prevents you from making reactive, fear-based decisions like selling off investments at a loss or taking on high-interest debt when a surprise expense hits. This matrix outlines upgraded savings targets. Stable, dual-income households need 4 to 6 months of expenses, while freelancers need 9 to 12. Park these reserves in high-yield money market accounts offering 4 to 5% to safely earn interest. To accelerate this funding, pull your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements, go through every transaction, and aggressively cut redundant subscription services and habitual convenience spending. The average American household can locate $200 to $400 a month just by eliminating underused software tiers and daily takeout. Securing this liquid cash baseline is the non-negotiable prerequisite for the rest of the strategy. Without it, the moment an economic shock hits your household, you will be forced to bridge the gap with high-interest debt, which rapidly accelerates financial ruin. Month 2 shifts your focus to liability triage. Normally, the advice is to aggressively pay down all your debt, but a stagflationary environment changes the math on which liabilities you should attack first. This graph illustrates high-interest variable debt. As rates stay elevated, the cost to carry these balances spirals violently upward, requiring immediate liquidation. Conversely, the flat, stable line represents fixed-rate debt, which becomes relatively cheaper against inflation. Only make minimum payments. If you are carrying heavy credit card balances, look into debt consolidation through a personal loan. By converting multiple 24% variable rates into a single, predictable fixed rate closer to 10%, you drastically reduce your interest costs and eliminate the risk of future rate spikes. During a combined oil, inflation, and recession shock, the biggest risk is losing your income, not paying 3 or 4% interest. Preserving your liquid cash reserves is mathematically far more valuable than aggressively paying off cheap, fixed-rate debt. Month 3 is dedicated to hardening your income and your assets. If all of your household income is tied to a single employer, you have a massive single point of failure in your financial architecture. You must establish alternate income streams immediately. Set up freelance profiles, start gig work, or launch consulting outreach right now. If you wait until corporate layoffs begin, you will be trying to find work in a market suddenly flooded with desperate, highly qualified competitors. Now is also the time to negotiate your compensation at your primary job. Build a case using objective market data and quantifiable achievements, and have the conversation before your company announces budget cuts. Once a hiring freeze is implemented, your leverage drops to 0. Next, review your investment portfolio and execute a quality tilt. This means shifting your allocations away from highly indebted companies and toward assets with strong balance sheets and consistent dividend payouts. You should also consider locking in U.S. Treasury bonds. These are government debt securities that pay a fixed return, allowing you to capture high yields while the Federal Reserve keeps rates elevated. Whatever you do, do not touch your retirement accounts. Pulling money out of a 401k early triggers a 10% federal penalty on top of ordinary income taxes. You effectively destroy 30 to 40% of your wealth the moment you make the withdrawal. Hardening your income sources and pivoting your investments today takes advantage of the relative calm in the current labor market. You lock in your defensive baseline on your own schedule, well before panicked employers and volatile markets start dictating the terms. The day-to-day reality of living through stagflation is intensely physical. Every time you buy groceries or pay a utility bill, you feel your household purchasing power actively being compressed from multiple sides at once. You can defend against this supply-driven inflation with real-world, physical hedges. Lock in fixed rates with your energy providers if possible. Buy non-perishable essentials in bulk before prices climb further, and review your property insurance coverage limits, as the cost to replace a home or vehicle spikes rapidly during inflationary periods. The final step is protecting yourself from your own psychology. During downturns, investors routinely wipe out their wealth through loss aversion selling. This is the act of panicking and liquidating a declining portfolio, which locks in permanent losses. They also fall victim to disaster anchoring, making irreversible financial decisions based entirely on the most terrifying news headlines. To counter these mental traps, establish a strict accountability system. Share this 90-day checklist with a spouse, a financially disciplined friend, or a fee-only advisor. Setting up weekly and monthly review check-ins ensures you actually execute the steps instead of just worrying about them. Successfully surviving an economic contraction has nothing to do with timing the market or predicting the exact bottom. It comes down to executing a rational, calculated defense strategy today while the window is still open, before the rest of the world begins to panic.